Hello everyone! And despite all the difficulties and hardships that are tearing the Skibidi Toilet community apart right now, here I am taking my time to make an analysis of the 55th episode of Skibidi Zombie Universe, which lasted for a whole 6 minutes, by the way, this time, which makes it the longest episode of this multiverse, and I believe that Monster Up will also try to make longer episodes in the future as well, just like Verlance and Maxity. And we saw a crazy amount of action in this episode, and even the comeback of the character which we all waited a hella long time for. What happened to Skibidi and Plungerman after they clashed in the previous episode? Is Red Titan Drillman really meant to lose and get destroyed? What new forces arrive to save the day once again, and what horrible sacrifice are we about to see? But most importantly, who is coming back to Zombie Multiverse that we all were waiting such a long time for? If you want to learn all the answers to these questions, then get your tea and snacks ready and prepare to watch this video to the end, because it's going to be really interesting. Let's go. But before I'll start digging into episode 55, let me remind you real quick about the events of the previous episode, so you won't get too confused about what has actually been going on. So in episode 54, we saw how exactly Titan Cameraman got infected, and his soul became just as corrupted as Titan TV Man's. And even though his infection took the whole episode to come into power, it was really worth it as we saw his crazy abilities that started revealing itself right away. But before that, while he was still the original Titan Cameraman, he tried to pass away like an actual hero and attempted his self-sacrifice by letting the mountain rocks collapse onto his body, which as he hoped would destroy him and wouldn't let him turn into his zombie form. But for better or worse, his tragic plan didn't work out and he still got turned anyway, and now he's a threat to his former comrades and friends. And meanwhile, while the cameraman was buried under the rocks, Red Titan Drillman confronted the TV Titan twins in a really epic battle where he demonstrated his immunity to the zombie virus again, as well as the usage of the Siren Titan's Genesis core that he so conveniently got from the Plague Doctor. And as he was using the core's ability to temporarily steal powers from his enemies, Red Drillman managed to adopt one twin's tentacle-based form for an epic fight while he was stunned and wasn't able to fully fight back. But unfortunately, he didn't succeed in using the true potential of this stolen ability, as the time limit allowed by the Genesis core expired before the Titan really did anything useful with it. But despite his own physical exhaustion and the failed opportunity to use the stolen TV Titan's ability, Red Drillman still managed to pull a clever move and actually defeat one of the TV twins while using a nearby pickaxe. But unfortunately, the other twin still remained to be alive, while the drill man clearly got so exhausted by this battle, so it was obvious he'll unlikely manage to put up the same fight with the second twin, as he remains in a very vulnerable state. We then also saw the Plungerman and Skibidi's emotional confrontation, where it was revealed to us how their deep friendship still mattered the most for both of them, so the two Chads almost came to peace finally. But their heartwarming reconciliation proved to be short-lived though, as the infected Titan Cameraman emerged in his new, monstrous form and created quite a lot of troubles for them. Now he has powerful claws, extra limbs, and a disgusting chest cavity which looks like a maw full of zombie teeth. And episode 54 ends with Titan Cameraman's seismic attack which knocked Skibidi unconscious and left Plungerman in despair. And with Red Drillman weakened and TV Titan's second twin still active, I can definitely say that it was one of the darkest endings of this multiverse. Okay, and now we're moving to episode 55, where we'll see the continuation of these events. And the episode starts with the scene how Skibidi gets knocked out by the rock thrown by zombie Titan Cameraman at him. And horrified Plungerman realizes that the impact of such strike can be immeasurable for his friend, who still remains uninfected and thus more vulnerable to physical damage contrary to zombies. He rushes towards his friend's body and checks up his pulse real quick, and we see how Skibidi actually started losing his life, which was pretty damn unexpected to me considering what kinds of hardships the Alliance's members already went through in earlier episodes. So the idea of passing away from the rock hitting your head seems almost silly to me, especially considering that we're in the literal Skibidi zombie multiverse. But of course Plungerman doesn't find this silly and goofy at all because he's really scared for his friend, which is about to go to heaven in the literal seconds. Something has to be done really quick. And Plungerman makes an insane decision, so he literally rips off his left robotic hand, which makes it in a completely unusable state, with the goal of reviving his dying friend. So if he was a human being, I could say that he tried to transfuse his blood into Skibidi via veins or something like this, Or maybe it was more like a CPR operation when the heart gets revived with the powerful external push, you know. Well, whatever it was, but Plungerman's plan actually works as he literally brings his friend back from the world of shadows. But unfortunately, it affected him pretty hard as well. So after Skibidi comes to his senses, he immediately rushes to check on Plungerman, who looks to be passing away now. Apparently, Dave gave out too much of his own vital energy to support life in Skibidi, and the price for this good deed was way too high. And when it seems like Plungerman has gone completely and Skibidi nearly breaks into the tears, suddenly it turns out that it was all just a gimmick for us all. Maybe Plungerman was actually acting his temporary death, or he really shut down for a couple seconds, I don't know. But he managed to make quite an impression on Skibidi nevertheless. But what's really great about this whole thing, though, is that now Skibidi realizes quite good how dear Plungerman is to him as a friend, so there's no way they're gonna fight again in the nearest future. And I am really happy about such an outcome for their plot arc. Skibidi then suggests his hand to help Dave getting up, but Plungerman succeeds in doing so on his own. And right in this moment, the other characters that are still on this battlefield remind us of themselves with the terrible roar. As it turns out, Zombie TV Batman is still here even though he was stunned by Skibidi's weapon a couple of episodes earlier. But he didn't die. And now this freak wants to finish the task that was given to him by his master, the Plague Doctor, or to be specific, to steal the unique cores from Plungerman, which allowed him to use the same powers as SCP Dave and command his own zombie minions. But now, when both Skibidi and Plungerman work together again, they're not going to make this task easier for TV Batman at all. So at first, Skibidi releases a shot into the cores so that they would jump up in the air, and please don't ask me how that even works because I have no idea myself. Just anything for a cool scene, I guess. And then while those cores were already mid-air, Skibidi also tossed Plungerman so that he could reach them before Zombie TV Batman does. And in the end, this plan works only for 50%. As Plungerman manages to grab only one of the cores while the second core got to Zombie TV Man nevertheless. And we can see how the Plague Doctor already materialized himself again, even though he was trying to hide the best he could for several episodes straight so that Red Titan Drill Man wouldn't find and finish him off out of revenge. And don't you guys forget that the new Delete Men race also want a piece of him now, as he actually belongs to the SCP universe. So the fact that he decided to appear now means that the Plague Doctor plans something really bold this time, and that he also isn't that afraid of Red Drillman anymore, and why it is so, I'll explain to you really soon. Okay, and for now, as the Plague Doctor got his hands over one of the cores, he is capable of controlling his minions again, including the newly turned Titan cameraman. So SCP Dave addresses him by saying, "My creation." So now the Plague Doctor will probably start working with this zombie Titan really closely, considering that Zombie Drillman's body is captured by the Alliance, and Zombie TV Titan is heavily damaged at this point. And right now, the most relevant goal for the Plague Doctor is to finally destroy Red Drillman, who is his biggest danger, as this Titan was really motivated to destroy SCP Dave for betraying him. And now it's the most perfect opportunity to deal with him, as Red Titan is immensely exhausted after the battle with TV Twins. Zombie Titan Cameraman and Red Drillman clash is another battle, and we already see that our Red Chad has a very small chance to win, as his lost powers really affect the way he holds in this battle. He doesn't succeed in preventing Titan Cameraman from getting to his skin, so literally after a few seconds of melee encounter, Zombie Cameraman manages to immobilize his opponent and starts tearing him apart limb by limb. One of the Drillman's hands gets detached and flies right to the Plungerman's direction. But Skibidi reacts quick enough to save his friend from being crushed under it. And to be honest with you, in this moment, I thought that there is no hope for Red Drillman anymore, and that his body will be completely torn apart. And even considering that there are two entities in Red Drillman's body instead of one, it would still be a total defeat for him, because it would take him ages to restore himself. Not to mention that the Plague Doctor could also take his remains away to his evil laboratory, including the second entity of the Drillman, which would mean the end for this character. But thankfully, Monster Up managed to fool us all again and give some hope for Red Drillman. Because right in the moment when the Titan's body was almost destroyed by the bloodthirsty Zombie Titan Cameraman, a whole bunch of portative bombs interrupt this whole torture. And I'm sure that you all remember these bombs, as those are the tools of the upgraded Speakerman's race. And we could already see them in use back in episode 16, where the Speakermen were aiming to capture Plungerman and take the Hephaestus core. But now the Speakermen are on our side now, given everything that happened to them in the latest episodes. And also don't forget that Skibidi was the leader of the Speakerman squad when he arrived to this location for the first time. So the appearance of these guys was quite expected, but it still made me hyped up as heck when I saw them. And as it turns out, the Speakermen arrived not alone, but also in the company of G-Man and Astro Duchess. And oh boy, this is where fun really starts. Titan Cameraman keeps getting constantly bombarded by new waves of bombs which stun him non-stop, and thus prevent him to come to his senses and finally get up. Meanwhile, the Speakermen prepare their weaponry while both G-Man and Astro Duchess get closer to their new enemy who used to be their dear friend. But oh well, I guess they already got used to such tragedies. And just as Titan Cameraman finally starts doing at least something useful for him, G-Man appears next to him and shoots off the zombie's knives he was holding in his hands. And then after Titan Cameraman tried to dodge G-Man's next shot, he gets pulled back by the Astro Duchess's red chains that prevent him from fleeing anywhere. That causes the Titan to fall to the ground in a really embarrassing way, right in front of the Speakerman's dynamics that start terrorizing him with their powerful sound waves. He tries to stop all this noise with his extra claws, and when he was distracted at the dynamics, he got attacked again from the back with several intricate missiles that don't exactly blow him up, but to make him stuck next to the nearest mountain wall. They literally pin him to it like a fly with the purpose of immobilizing him and not allowing him to do anything, which makes me think that neither G-Man or Astro Duchess plan to actually destroy Titan Cameraman. It would be much wiser to actually try and cure him from the zombie virus, just what they already managed to pull with Skibidi Scientist, although it's not going to be easy at all, because right now Titan Cameraman is the only hope for the Plague Doctor to get back on top, and this fella is going to try his hardest not to miss this Titan from his hands too. Meanwhile, we see something really interesting. As the Titan got pinned to the wall, he sees the bomb next to him, which is just about to detonate and stun him for a really long period of time. And instead of allowing his enemies to do so with him, the Titan decides to pull off something much trickier. So he quickly grabs this bomb and literally absorbs its energy with his own mutated body. Both G-Man and Astro Duchess watch at him in shock, as no one expected the Titan to do something like this. And in the next second, Titan Cameraman literally releases a wide shockwave that covers this whole area and shuts down all of the Speakermen's equipment, which is a real damn bummer considering that their tools and technologies are their main advantage in the battle, and now the Speakermen got literally dismissed of it entirely. And the shockwave also shuts down G-Man's and Astro Duchess bodies, which I found to be a little bit weird. Aren't they supposed to be fully automatic and self-operating though? I didn't think that they were supposed to work like the regular wired chain computers, because it would really make them too easy to shut down with the opportunity like this that Titan Cameraman just used. And then on Plungerman's example, we saw how such a shockwave affected the bodies of the regular agents as well. And okay, in my opinion, that it way too OP at this point, because the Plague Doctor can actually create some shockwave-based machine after this battle and win the Alliance at one snap of his fingers, which would shift the whole power balance to the wrong side. But that's just my opinion. After that, Titan Cameraman gets up and prepares to finish off all of his helpless opponents one by one, and Plungerman, who is still holding the core in his hands, realizes that something has to be done. He activates the core and manages to get back on his feet and let Astro Duchess consume it so that she'd embrace the powers of this core and fight off Titan Cameraman. But somehow that doesn't work, so G-Man decides to take the powers of this core himself. But the thing is that we know how it will definitely destroy our Chad once and for all, as the Knight prohibited him from using the cores, because G-Man did it too many times and in the wrong way, so his body won't be able to take another pressure. But G-Man is still ready to take this risk to protect his friends, which really made my heart shatter in million of pieces. So Plungerman throws this core right into G-Man's, as it may seem that there is no other way to escape. And right in this moment, the episode ends. And something tells me that in the beginning of the next episode, someone will take this core instead and won't allow Jimmy to die. And do you know who this might be? Well, to answer this question, let's take a look at the secret scene at the end of episode 55. We turn out to be in the TV Men's laboratory, where everyone now knows that Titan Cameraman is infected, and TV Scientist curses in anger. He then looks up onto someone and says, "All hope is on you, Titan Clockman," which means two things. The first one is that TV men probably learned of Titan cameraman's infection before the events of episode 55 even began. And the second one is that Titan Clockman will most likely manage to arrive to the battlefield within a short period of time, probably with the usage of TV men's teleportation devices, and he will be the one to save G-Man and the rest of his team from zombie Titan cameraman. And it's getting me even more hyped about episode 56. And that was all for today. Be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to my channel so you will not miss my new cool videos. And also, don't forget to leave your comment about what you think will happen in the future episodes of Skibidi Zombie series, because I'm always interested in what you guys have to say. And that was me, Toilet. See ya!